We are among the clinical and legal writing faculty at the Seattle University School of Law who are participating in an innovative project to bring real client, actual legal work into the first-year classroom.
That's right. And I've got to tell you that in my 15 years of teaching in the clinical program, this collaboration with legal writing faculty and our first-year students has been among the most fun, creative, and energetic teaching I have done here.
We've seen so many benefits to these projects, not just for our students, but for the faculty and for the law school overall. And among those benefits is the fact that it seems to maximize the resources of our legal writing and our clinical projects so that we can do more with what we already have. So before you hear directly from our students, we thought it made sense to give you a quick overview of what these projects are like.
So here's what we do. We take a slice of a real client case in the clinical law program, and we ask the 1L students to do an objective research memo on that issue so that we can use it in our client representation in the clinic. The students do this as their Legal Writing 1 second semester first-year project. So the students you're about to see speak about this worked on a real client case from my administrative law clinic. In that clinic, we were representing a client who's a transgendered woman who was seeking Medicaid coverage of the last step of her treatment, gender reassignment surgery. The state had just promulgated a regulation that cut that service entirely, but only for people with gender dysphoria. So we asked the 1L students to research the issue of whether or not the state's cut of gender reassignment surgery violated the federal Medicaid statute that says, state, you cannot discriminate against someone based on their diagnosis.
And that was a really challenging but really important project for our first-year students. So the students who you're about to see worked on this issue in their first year, and now they are graduating 3L students.
Yay.
So we asked a few of them to speak to you about how working on a real client project in their very first year of law school impacted them.
I think that the exposure first year was crucial for me. I think we all realized early on that we could make a difference in somebody's life.
Working with the clinic took that to a whole new level, where we weren't in a safe, closed universe that the professor had mapped out for us. Our professor assigning this problem to us didn't know what the answer was going to be. It was up to us.
And being thrown into like an actual case to begin with in first year is a little shocking. You know, the reality of what handling someone's real problems are was at first very overwhelming, but you realize you really have to take it with a certain candor and sensitivity because it really is someone's problems. You know, the first few memos, you know it's a fake universe. You know it's not real people, real stories. So you feel a certain sense of, not necessarily passe, but not sensitivity towards the issues because you know they're not real.
All of us came to law school with the desire to impact specific individuals or companies or issues. And this was the first time we were given a chance as law students to do that. And so I think that initial desire that brings us to law school can get lost in the first year curriculum.
That was the first time that I realized as a student that the work we were doing actually mattered and that we weren't writing these memos in a vacuum, that this was going to benefit someone's case. And as a 1L, I don't think you really know really what's going on. You're just struggling daily to keep up with the assignments and the readings. And this was the first opportunity I had in law school to say, wait, what I'm doing is actually going to affect and benefit somebody. And it really motivated me to do a stellar job for this client and to work really hard.
The most important thing I learned from Memo 3 was how to use policy in making legal arguments. Before working with the clinic in this memo, policy was sort of like an add-on at the end where you just consider it and like, oh, what a nice thought, policy. But most of our argument in our memo was based on policy.
Either somebody has had to have looked at this issue, there's got to be a case or a statute or a law or something. And it was a very poignant teaching moment for me because it made me realize that you're, as a law student and as a potential, well, as a lawyer, that you don't always have the smoking gun. You're not always going to find the right case or even a statute or something on point.
One of the reasons why I loved it was because it's an issue that I wasn't very familiar with. And you learn about the issue and you have certain preconceptions, or not necessarily biased, but a preconceived understanding of what things are. And when those things are challenged or they're shown in a different light, you see things differently, and it makes you aware that the way I perceive things I have to be more open about the way I perceive things and not necessarily judge, but come to conclusions about certain issues. So I was very appreciative of that issue for that reason.
I thought that it was difficult to understand the language itself, and because it was so poorly written, so that it could be interpreted in a number of ways. And so that was important for me to understand that, first of all, statutes aren't clear, and the way that we interpret them varies from person to person.
Creative problem solving is not on the first year curriculum that I am aware of, and this was an opportunity to practice that, and I'm good at that. And so I could see, okay, there is some part of me that's going to be really good at this, and I really enjoy it, so I really do need to put in the effort to do the things and learn the things I'm not so good at.
I loved it. It was such a wonderful way to start law school. And now looking back on it 3 years later, it still is one of the highlights of my career here.
We never had that many opportunities to actually do anything that involved actual practice of law, and I thought that this was rare because it really instilled in us like a sense of purpose in the law students, and I think that's really necessary in order to transition into becoming a lawyer. And law schools don't do that enough. We don't have enough clinical exposure. We don't have enough opportunities to engage with real clients. And so that's why this was special.
By the time I was 3/4 of my way through my first year of law school, I was seriously questioning that I would actually be good at this. And after working on this project, I knew that I would be good at this.